Alright guys, got a few cool things to show you. Yes, the Arizona Spina Marine tubes finally came in. They are a thing of beauty. They are designed exactly like the stockers. Very, very thin tubes swedged into the flanges. The little tiny EGR tube is welded. You can see the slag around it. They look much better on the other side. Let's take a deeper look at these. Okay, you can see they did nice weld around the outside. They look good. Okay, these are actually, they put some type of an epoxy or something on them and then swedged them in there. If you don't know what swedging is, look it up. Okay, the openings measure 1.65, and we did flow these today. Now, you know what? I'll give my commentary on that when we look at those numbers. There is someone I need to thank. These two beautiful things from Buckeye Carbide. That's a 1/2 inch oval single cut, which is the top, and a 1/2 inch oval double cut. 6-inch long burrs. Those are a gift from Ryan. Ryan, you guys know, because he sent us stuff for the Mission Impossible project. This was a thank you for the channel, I guess. He does ask me questions once in a while. I have no problem answering. Ryan, thank you so much. Love stuff like that. Makes my whole day. Okay, guys, sorry, I got it one-handed. I don't know how well you can see it. You can see when the machine goes through it to swedge it, it leaves little lines on the back. Let's see if we can focus that better. All right, those lines don't bother me a bit. Not even a little bit, okay? In fact, it is possible that they help flow. Now, we know small lines across 90 degrees from the flow actually pick up flow. Now, as those lines get bigger, they may hinder flow, okay? In any case, let's put the stockers right up next to it. You can see how much bigger these are. Okay, it should be obvious, right? These are the ones that I did the radius work, and my plenum is open. It doesn't have circles anymore. It looks more like an infinity sign. Okay, that's why that radius is in the middle. Now, you have to realize I used these new runners on my plenum because my plenum is worked. The plenum that the customer gave me hasn't been touched yet. So I'll tell you right now, we have a big flat spot between the runner we're using and the runner we're not using. There'll be no radius at all. And my plenum is actually opened up as big as these stockers with the radius. So they're a touch bigger. So there's a sharp edge all the way around the new runners. Okay? You have to keep all of these things in mind. Now, this is just a baseline run. Okay? I actually took the head that I think I flowed last time. I may have mixed up cylinder 1 and cylinder 8, but I think this is number 8. I haven't stamped the head yet. I usually stamp the heads. I haven't gotten that far. So what I did is I flowed it completely stock with a hard radius, my 1204 hard radius, instead of the clay that I usually do. And that did change our numbers a tiny bit. Let's take a look at those. I should show you how pretty they look all on the bench. Got my BBK. I think it's a 58 with a little texture action on it. Changed the radiuses a little bit. I can see my tape was falling off. I was on top of that while we were testing. Don't sweat it. The only one we test out of is number 1. Now, why would Charlie only test out of number 1? You know what? I want you guys to answer that on the questions. There's a very good reason I chose this one. In fact, I may not All the other ones have an advantage over this one. See if you guys can figure it out. I'm sure somebody can. You can see I marked right on the plenum what it did last time. It went 216 with the dart 165s that flowed 270, okay? And that was stock radius, okay. This one was 202 with the Tpis. Okay, back when the heads only flowed 244, we got 202 out of them. So we went from 244 to 270, but notice we only gained a small amount. So the restriction isn't the head, it was the runners, right? So these are what the stock runners did. Tonight, the stock runners actually did a little bit better, but it's a different day as well. And this came with the right size bolts, so I was able to bolt it on probably a little bit tighter. If you have the slightest little leak at an intersection like this has a piece of duct tape on it, so it's very, very thin. You can hardly see it. If you have an intersection like this leaking and going into the tube, that will reduce, more than likely, it'll reduce your flow because it'll cause turbulence in there like an edge. Interesting to think about, right, guys? Okay, so these numbers are probably a little bit different than last time you saw it. Yeah, we topped out at 270, which is about where we were last time. And that was at 600. So we're 265 at 500. We've got good solid swirl. Now what I did is I took my worked stock runners and put it right on this cylinder head after I flowed it. Okay, so we get these flows and we get these swirls. We actually did better this time than last time. Last time I got 216 out of it. This time I got 221. Probably because we had an alignment issue or it was leaking a little bit somewhere, something like that. It's also a different day. All right? So that's why I wanted to run this again and run this. Now we have a baseline. So at 500, we're 221.1 with, it's not a completely stock runner. It has modifications to it. And the modification at the very entrance makes a huge difference. Because when I took before I did any flowing on cylinder heads today, I took the completely stock runner, my modified stock runner, and the new Arizona Marine, and I did a little experiment with it. Yeah, I know it's a little hacky, but I'm not going to build a fixture to just flow these runners. I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. So what I did is I took a PTS 300 plate, just a little bit too big to seal. But if I throw my little chunk of wood on here with a hole from testing a carburetor, it'll seal the runners. Now, the interesting part is this plate flows 300 by itself, right, with the sharp edge up. As soon as I put this on there, it flows 350 because the length of this makes a difference. The way the air comes around this edge and has a chance to fill the void easier, I guess. So that's 50 CFM extra going like this. So when you get, what did I do? Here, I did it on this page right here. Okay. 300 plate adapter, stock TPI, no radius, flowed 223.2. The stock TPI with the slightly ground radius flowed 269.7, which I thought was ridiculously high. And then I fiddled with it a little bit, made sure I didn't have any leaks or anything, and it was 263. Okay, the ones on the bottom are the new runners. So they are better than the stockers, even my modified stockers. They're better. They should be. They're bigger, right? And somebody's going to crab and say, hey, Charlie, that's more than the advertiser says. Oh, I'm sure they don't test through this thing, okay? but it gives me a baseline. That's what I'm looking for right now. Now, the manufacturer said they flow 260. Not flowing through something like this, that sounds about right. You guys can mention in the comments if you think I could have done that better. I'm not going to invest that much time in it, I'll be honest, guys, because what really matters to me is how much it all flows bolted together on the bench through the head, through the throttle body, everything. Okay, and the last one we're going to look at tonight was the same cylinder on the cylinder head, right? The Tpis, this is Tpis as well. Arizona Speed and Marine runners. My Plenum, which doesn't line up exactly with the Arizona Speed and Marine. And remember, the Tpis, I did not touch that entrance. I wasn't going to touch it until I got the runners. Then I know what to do. So there may be a little bit of an interference at the edge of the Tpis, and I know they don't fit my Plenum exactly right with my BBK. So we can go heads up on these guys right here, and we don't have a huge difference. In fact, it's way tighter than I would have expected it to be. Now, yeah, the bigger runner really starts to add a few CFM towards the top, but that's even beyond where we're going to run this engine. This engine is probably only going to have a 510 lift with 1.5 rockers. It'll be a little more if he uses 1.6. And we'll decide that when time comes. So in any case, it's going to be between 500 and 600 lift. Now, these aren't bad. Do I think I can improve that? Absolutely. Now let's take, let me show you something. Okay, I definitely should not have shown you my Tpis that I did grinding on. The flange is much thicker on a completely stock one. Okay, you can see how much of a difference the runners are as far as size. So, in reality, this flow test I did tonight, I'm probably going to have to redo it because those are not stock runners. Those are my done up stock runners. So I'm kind of, it's not really the fair. It's not fair where I think it should be. So that's my fault. I just didn't realize that these are that much bigger. Sorry guys, my mistake. You know, and it's interesting because you really can't do much on the inside because it's swedged together, but still they look a lot bigger. All right, what do I need to, obviously I need to redo this test after I do a little more work with the completely stock runners. And they can go up against the Arizona Speed Marine. I'm sure that'll be considerably different than my ported stockers. My ported stockers work way better than I would have expected, considering how tight they are. Remember, the center section of them, the center section you really can't get to. And this one's got a couple dents in it, you know. I worked on taking the dents out a little bit, but I didn't waste a ton of time. In any case, if we didn't do anything else to this, you guys can calculate up how many horsepower we can make with 225.7 CFM. Right? Swirl curve is fine. It will get the job done, I have no doubt. Do I think I can improve these? Yes, I have no doubt in my mind. Now the runners themselves, I already told the customer, I said, they're beautiful. I don't know whether I'm going to do anything on them. It depends how everything lines up. If I have to do the flanges a little bit, I will, but I am going to do minimum amount of work on them because they don't really need it. All right, guys, I'm beat. It's already late. It's Wednesday. Killer week as always. A little side tidbit. Whiffy and her mom went away, and they dropped off the Jagheads at Tpis this morning. I really wish I got to do a final video or something on them. They turned out beautiful. I asked DV if he could at least send me some good pictures or something from them. The reason I ran out of time is Whiffy changed the date she was going to leave and rushed me a couple days. So I got them done. They turned out really nice. I'm very happy with them. The original goal was 500 horsepower. I don't think that'll be a problem if everything else is done right. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.